Before the story begins, I'd like to ask you to subscribe and like. This will help the channel grow. Whispers in the Ashes, Detective Mystery Story. Detective Laura Bennett arrived at the scene just as the flames began to die. The old townhouse on Hawthorne Street had been swallowed whole by fire, its windows cracked open like broken eyes staring into the night. The acrid smell of smoke clung to the air, mixing with something else, something metallic. Blood, perhaps? The firefighters had pulled 3 people out of the blaze. 2 survived, coughing, trembling, their faces smeared with soot. The third, however, was carried out under a white sheet. Laura crouched near the blackened doorway. Among the charred remains, something caught her eye, a piece of paper, edges burnt, words still legible. It wasn't just any note, it was typed on an old machine, the ink uneven, the letters fading. The message was chilling. The fire cleanses, but the truth burns deeper. She slipped the note into an evidence bag. Whoever left this wanted to be found, or wanted to send a message. As she walked through the ashes, Laura noticed patterns in the destruction. The fire hadn't spread naturally. It had started in 3 separate spots. Arson, without a doubt. But arson with poetry and intent. One of the survivors, an elderly neighbor, whispered through cracked lips, "It's not the first time. He's back." Laura froze. He? Greyhaven had its share of legends. Among them, one particularly dark tale. A man who once set fires to purify sinners decades ago. But he had died in prison, or so the record said. Laura straightened, her face illuminated by the pulsing lights of the fire trucks. If the old man was right, then someone had taken up the mantle, or worse, someone had returned. The police station smelled faintly of stale coffee and damp paper. Laura sat at her desk, staring at the evidence bag with the scorched note inside. The words seemed to breathe, whispering out of the plastic, "The truth burns deeper." She ran a hand through her dark hair, then opened a folder from the archives. Decades ago, a man named Victor Hale had been known as the Ashmaker. A failed poet turned arsonist, he believed fire revealed the hidden sins of those he judged. He targeted families, homes, and businesses. His victims always received a note before disaster struck. Hale had been caught in 1979 and supposedly died behind bars in 1986. So why was someone using his exact words now? Laura paid another visit to the survivor, Martha Green, the old neighbor. Martha's hand shook as she sipped tea, her eyes darting toward every shadow in her small living room. "I saw him," she said hoarsely. "Tall, coat dark as night. Watching the flames. He turned, detective. He looked right at me. It was him. It was Victor." Laura frowned. Impossible. Unless, later that evening, back at the precinct, Laura found an envelope on her desk. No one saw who left it. Inside, another typed message. "You're searching in the wrong ashes. Some truths survived the fire." Her blood ran cold. Laura dug deeper into Martha Green's past. The old woman had lived on Hawthorne Street for more than 50 years. Strangely, her name had surfaced in one of Victor Hale's original case files. She had been listed as a witness back in 1978 during one of his most infamous fires. Yet the record showed she never testified. Laura confronted her the next day. Martha's face paled as Laura laid out the yellow documents. Finally, the truth spilled out. "I lied," Martha whispered. "I told the police I didn't know him. But I did. Victor was my cousin. I helped hide him when they were hunting him. I thought he was misunderstood, a man too broken by life. But when the fires grew worse, I turned away. I thought he died in prison. But when I saw him last night..." She broke down in tears, clutching at her hands. Laura realized something chilling. If Martha truly believed Victor still walked the streets, others in Hollow Creek might too. Belief could resurrect monsters, even if the man himself was long dead. Before Laura could press further, a crash echoed outside Martha's home. They ran to the porch. Across the street, another house had erupted in flames, and on the mailbox, taped crudely, was a fresh note. "The fire will find the liars." The town spiraled into panic. Whispers of Victor Hale spread like sparks in the wind. Old stories resurfaced about how Hale's body was never buried, how prison records were forged, how Hollow Creek itself had protected him. Laura worked day and night, chasing leads. At last, she received a call from the fire marshal. The accelerant used in the recent fires matched the chemical mixture Hale had been known to create. A signature formula, something only he, or someone studying him closely, could replicate. Late that evening, Laura found another clue. On her car windshield lay a black and white photograph. It showed Hale in prison, gaunt and furious, but the strange part was the back of the photo. A fresh typewritten message, asterisk. "I was never gone. Only waiting." Star. Laura's chest tightened. Someone had access not only to Hale's records, but to private evidence long locked away. This wasn't just copycat work. This was personal. When she returned home that night, she found her living room window open. On her coffee table sat a matchbox, half burned. On the inside flap, another message, asterisk. "Detective Bennett, your trial by fire begins." Asterisk. Laura traced the chemical supplies back to an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. Inside, the air reeked of kerosene. Barrels were stacked against the walls, wires dangling like veins. In the center stood a typewriter, its keys blackened with soot. On the platen, a message waited. "The fire does not kill. It reveals." Next to the typewriter sat boxes of documents. Original case files from Hale's trial. Prison letters. Poetry drafts in his handwriting. But one envelope stood out. Inside were photographs of recent victims, taken days before the fires. The stalker wasn't just reenacting Hale's crimes. He was escalating them. As Laura examined the files, a sudden hiss filled the room. Gas. A trap. She sprinted toward the exit just as flames roared to life behind her, devouring the warehouse. She barely escaped, coughing smoke into the night air. From a distance, she saw him, a tall figure in a dark coat, standing by the flames watching her. Then he vanished into the smoke, leaving only the echo of fire behind. The final piece came from an unlikely source, the coroner's office. Victor Hale's death certificate, thought long sealed, had been altered. The body buried under his name was never positively identified. Laura confronted Martha again. Shaking, the old woman confessed what she had never told anyone. Asterisk. "Victor had a son. Born in secret. I swore to protect him. He looked so much like his father. I thought moving him away would save him. But he came back. He always came back." It wasn't Victor Hale terrorizing Hollow Creek. It was his heir, carrying the same madness, the same obsession with cleansing flames. The final fire erupted at the church where Hale had once been baptized. Laura arrived to find the building engulfed, the figure waiting inside. She chased him through the smoke, gun drawn, until finally he stood cornered at the altar. His face was pale, eyes alight with fanatic fire. "My father's work was unfinished," he hissed. "Now you see it, detective. The truth burns us all." The standoff ended in gunfire and collapsing beams. When the fire was finally subdued, no body was found, only ashes, shifting in the wind, and one last note pinned to the altar. "The fire will never die.